Thanks for joining us. Each week, I'm so surprised at how fast these Wednesdays hit the calendar and that we're able to meet once more and bring together an interconnected community like none other. And so for those of you who are joining us for the very first time, thank you very much for waking up and deciding to learn with us. Please know that we are recording this episode and we'll have it up along with all our past episodes from all our seasons on our website at www.cefdn.org/coffee-with-CEF. I am your host, Johnny Munoz, and I am the Engagement and Stewardship Manager for the Catholic Education Foundation of Los Angeles. Here at CEF, we pride ourselves in committing to provide tuition awards to thousands of students every year, thanks to our tremendous and passionate donors. Before we get underway, I will give a brief overview of housekeeping items to help prepare each and every one of you for today's session. And so with that said, we will go ahead and share screen, and we will be asking each of you to take a few seconds to select your view of the session. In order to keep focus on who is speaking, we strongly suggest setting it to speaker view. As you may remember, we start with all microphones muted. With that said, we do encourage you to interact with our guests by entering any questions you may have for them into the chat feature below, and we will attempt to address them throughout the show. Lastly, if you have any questions for us or need to reach out to us at any point in this morning's sessions, please enter them into the chat feature as well, but direct them to my colleague Sandra Garcia, as she will be working behind the scenes to ensure you are all taken care of, taken care of very well. So before we get started today, we are going to continue our commitment in starting each episode with a moment of prayer. We feel honored and blessed to have this platform where we can learn from each other weekly. And because of this, we will use the beginning of these sessions to welcome and acknowledge God's presence. I'm going to do an audible this morning, and I'm going to invite you all to take a few seconds and enjoy which I'm hoping for is a blessing from Father Eng. Father Eng, would you be willing to give us a short blessing for this morning? Let's see if we can get him off of.
There we go.
Yes.
I'm going on your moment of silence there. I'm unmuted now. So. A blessing. Loving God, we pray for your spirit of wisdom to guide us and to direct us. Your spirit of wisdom inspires our teachers, our staff, our principals, administrators, inspires all of us on this, the Catholic Education Foundation to serve your people, the children in the schools, both elementary and high schools. Inspire us, Lord, to support them, stand by them, show them the way that your glorious work enlivens our world in this Easter season. And in this time of resurrection and new life, may we recommit ourselves to Catholic education, inspired by your Spirit, guided by Jesus, led by the Father. We ask this through Christ our Lord.
Amen. God bless. Thank you so much, Father Eng. We truly appreciate that, and sorry for throwing that on you last second. This morning, we are going to hear from various counselors who are part of the incredible organization that works throughout our community and is best known as Counseling Partners of Los Angeles. They are led by the exceptionally experienced Therese Funk, and they joined us in season 2 to educate us on all that they do. Today, they are returning to Coffee with CF to showcase the tremendous services they've been able to continue providing, despite the unique obstacles they have been faced with. And I'd absolutely love to say that we're going to jump right in, but what would this episode be without our proverbial icebreaker? So I believe I can safely say that we all would love to hear what each of you have brought to drink this morning. Although funny enough, we have not yet been introduced to all of you. So when we get to each of you, if you can tell us your name, your position at CPLA, and what you're drinking this morning. And I do believe this will make for a fun little roundtable regarding morning drinks. Therese, will you start us off and then go ahead and introduce the wonderful guests you have alongside you?
Okay, I'm going to start with my coffee. So I'm drinking my regular coffee from Guatemala, which my friend turned me on to because it's less acid. That's my tip of the day. And a couple weeks ago, I unpacked some boxes. Let me just see where it is. I can't get to it. Where's mine? And I came upon a mug that my kids had made a long time ago for Christmas. And I haven't said this out loud. They inspire me every day. The love they taught me to give and get. is why I'm here today. So I think it was fitting that I found that cup. So that's my cup. And in speaking of my knowledge, I think my knowledge is that I learn every day, and I learn so much from the people who are more on the front lines than I am. And I am honored to, do the paperwork for, because they truly are the ambassadors of mental health, the soldiers of emotional wellness. So I think you're telling me to introduce my CPLA team right away.
Just slightly, or if you guys just want to come
Jen
up.
Batonzo, what's your coffee?
Yes, there you go.
Hello, I'm Jen. My coffee today is in a mug. Life is my favorite adventure. I don't know if you could see that.
Yeah.
He's one of my field support people. They're the glue, the foundation, the support. They are supportive in front of, beside, and behind every counselor. A very important component of our work. The next person I see is Yoselin Lopez Marican. What's your coffee?
Hello, everybody. Good morning. I am one of the field support persons for CPLA, and I am drinking arroz con leche with coffee. And this is the mug from Edible Arrangements. I just found it.
And Lucian, where are you? Oh, you're on page 2.
Hi, good morning, everyone.
Our other field support person today.
Yes, thank you, Trace. Good morning. This is my cup. I'm Illusion Milan. I'm one of the FSP people, and my cup says, "Write your own story." It's colorful and creative, and it just kind of expresses a bit of like that expression in me. So yes, I have mint tea in there. That's it.
Nice. So now Stephanie Edquilon, Stephanie at St. Columkill counselor. What's in your coffee?
Hi everyone, I'm Stephanie, and like Trace said, I'm a counselor at CPLA. In my cup, I actually have tea because I prefer tea over coffee, and it's jasmine green tea. I drink tea every day. And then my mug is actually a Disneyland Halloween mug, just because I love going to Disneyland, especially during the spooky season. So
yes,
that'd be fun.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you.
Nicola Schlanger, what's in your cup?
What's in my cup? Well, I'm a new counselor with CPLA. I've been with you about 6 weeks. This is my cup. It says, yoga is magical, because I also happen to be a yoga instructor. So in my cup is at this point a very cold coffee with cream.
And Nicola's at St. Paul High School. Next up, I see online Erica Marin. And I hope you don't have too much coffee in that cup, Erica.
No, that is not coffee. Good morning. This is my protein shake, the chocolate flavor. That is my favorite.
Erica's having a baby very soon, so
yeah,
we want to keep that baby calm, not too much caffeine.
I know.
And Erica has helped pilot. She is the pilot counselor for our parent counseling, an amazing new project. We'll hear more about later. Ashley, what's in your cup?
Hi. So my cup is a little boring compared to everyone else's great cups, but I just have some French roast coffee with sweet cream, which I have every morning. So
yes, that's amazing. Trace, I think we got through all of them, correct? At least the ones that are here today. Oh, wow. This always really brings like a light to our show, and it brings, just some joy to get it, to know each and every one of you in a little personal sense. So thank you, all you tea drinkers, protein shakers. Let's keep it going. You guys do wonderful work, and I'm sure that's a piece of why. So thank you so much. And Trace, like I'm going to remind everyone here, Trace, amongst all of our guests, everyone is prepared. Everyone is always sharing the best stories, but Trace takes the extra step, and she takes a conductor role, and she gets everything prepared, and she has facilitated all of her counselors today. If you've noticed, we have about 8 people, so she knows best. They know best how to the best time manage this episode. And so again, just like our first episode, I'm going to allow Trace to take over the screen, to take the helm, and she will be sort of a co-host this morning. So I'm so excited to hear from all of the CPLA members. And so we are ready when you're ready, Trace. I'm going to share the screen so that way everyone is able to see the PowerPoint. And other than that, I think we're going to have a wonderful, wonderful show set up this morning. So give me the couple seconds that it's going to take me to grab this PowerPoint. And we should be
just
up and running.
coordinating the screen. I would love maybe a little flash of the screen, but let's have the field support people and the counselors' faces, because you'll feel their commitment and their love and their, you know, their achievement when you see it in their eyes and their.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So we'll you let me know, and we'll have like the introduction come up, and then once that's done, then I'll take it back down so we can see everyone's lovely faces.
Thanks.
I think
I
that'll
just
be
thought of that. Sorry.
yeah, that'll be helpful for sure. Let's go and do this
When
today.
Johnny asked us to come back, the concept is what's new since we last saw everyone in November. And it's been a hard year. I'm not going to dispute that. There have been a lot of challenges. But what I immediately thought of, and really what we're here today to talk about, is there is a lot of good news. We have saved so many kids' hearts and families and created hope and been a lifeline in so many students' lives, and really entire school communities in so many different ways. And while COVID has been a terrible curse and we have lost lives, including very close members of some of our counselors' families, which is very hard, we have made an incredible impact. It has been a struggle to connect with students. We are seeing many less students with Zoom just because of access and logistics. But if and when we're seeing them longer, more meaningfully, and we are supporting them, and in many cases, much more time with and support of their families. So there is a lot of good news, and I'm not going to spend any more time on the bad news, and we're going to talk about the good news from now on. So there have been two big good news things that have happened since we last saw you. We were incredibly blessed to be funded by the Hilton Foundation for a parent counseling project. And it was supposed to start around October, but with COVID and all the logistics and telehealth, I held back. And I'm a big believer in God, capital G. And God was working the room, because late last fall, I was blessed to interview and hire and bring on board Erica Marin, who is the absolute perfect person to have launched our parent counseling project. I have spoken to the parents, I have spoken to the supervisors who support her, and without exception, Erica Marin is an angel to our parent counseling project. So that is one really big piece of news that you're going to hear about. And the other really big good piece of news is we are getting more and more towards our vision that every school needs counseling. Unfortunately, in January, I was reached out to because someone had my name over Martin Luther King weekend from St. Paul's High School. A former student had died by suicide, and the students had tried to get him in time, and they were unable to. A few weeks later, there was a student who was critically injured in a drive-by shooting at a school that was not ours. Then there was another former student who died by suicide. Nancy Portillo is the angel for CPLA this year, as well as Erica and all these people that you see on the screen, and all the other fantastic counselors who are working so hard. But she is our angel at the Department of Catholic Schools, and she mobilized funding and organization and got 12 more schools support funding. We're a very low cost model, but support funding for us to come on board for 12 new schools. We usually take about 6 months to make all that happen, but we did it in about 6 weeks. And Nicola Schlanger will tell you more about how what I thought took a long time to make happen, it doesn't. It just takes the right people with the right hearts and a partnership. And that's how we help the kids. And that's how we literally save kids. So my little piece is I'm gonna talk right now. I'm gonna have Erica Marin share her great good news about how she's supporting the parent counseling program with some good news there. And then we'll move on to Nicola, and then you'll hear from the other field support people and their counselors. All good news from the rest of this hour.
I love
So
it. Thank
Erica,
you.
would you be so kind as to tell them your story and your story of hope?
Sure. Thank you, Therese, for always being so kind to me and to everybody. So I can say that being part of CPLA's parent program has given me the great opportunity of meeting the good intentions and love that parents have for their kids, and how frustrating it can be not knowing how to take care of them without hurting themselves and hurting the kids. So the story I will share today is about a parent referred by a CPLA school counselor. This is the mother of 3 kids. The oldest is 13 years old. He was adopted 6 years ago and diagnosed with a conduct disorder. His behavioral symptoms include doing tantrums, destroying furniture at home, complaining about doing chores, failing grades at school, and fighting with his sisters. The daughter in the middle is 12 years old. She's attending counseling services due to depression, and 1 month ago, she attempted to kill herself. The youngest daughter is 6 years old, who plays around the house following her siblings, making them feel upset. When I met this mother in the first session, she disclosed her emotional and behavioral symptoms that meet generalized anxiety disorder criteria with panic attacks. She received therapy services in the past, but her symptoms came back after her daughter attempted suicide. For this case, the first goal achieved was reducing her anxiety symptoms by using mindfulness, learning coping mechanisms, and self-care. Then we worked on the relationship that she has with each of her children. We explored each kid's history, attachment styles, emotional expressions, behaviors, and of course, strengths. So while she was getting better, less anxious, and able to process how she was reacting to her kids' needs, her cognitive processes and behavioral responses changed. She learned to create outlets for his oldest son to release energy, which helped him decreasing his outbursts and negativity at home. She also learned how to validate her preteen daughter's feelings. She gives her space to process her emotions, and then she approaches her with validation and productive conversations to address their problems without judgment. She has been creating spaces to share with her youngest daughter, playing and teaching her, with of course, to be more independent with tasks appropriate to her age. This client has implemented deep breathing exercises, walks, relaxing massages as part of her routines. She has understood that taking care of herself is the first step to caring for her loved ones. She's very resilient and committed, and I feel proud of being part of her journey. This is one of the good and lovely cases that I have, and it's very successful because now she's able to provide the support that her kids need, and also the family is changing because she's changing because of the therapy that we are providing through CPLA.
Because of the therapy Erica is providing. So you see how a heart and skill and support can make a difference. How long have you been working with this family, Erica?
Only for 6 sessions.
You can change a family's future in 6 sessions. We just need to be able to have the access to be able to help them, right?
Mm-hmm.
What a great initiative! Thanks for sharing that, and what a great just movement. I think you're starting in the right direction, and every piece of the pie has to be working and has to have that commitment, and so that's part of probably why you see results so fast. So thanks, Trace, and thanks for Erica. What a wonderful program! I hope the very best for all the families that are able to take advantage of that. And then I believe we're going to go over to Nicola.
Hi. So Nicola is one of the 12 counselors at our 12 pilot schools. Typically, we have 2 or even 3 counselors at some of our schools, but in order to mobilize quickly, we started 1 counselor at each of these 12. I call them the emergency support schools. This is the list of the school. Not only did Nikki jump in, she jumped in early. So I'll let her continue and tell you how and what she did and what she has incredibly been able to accomplish.
Oh, hi, everyone. I wanted to be really thoughtful about what I said today, so I wrote a letter. So I hope you don't mind if I read you something. When I applied to CPLA, I had planned to start in the fall of 2021, but Therese asked me if I could start in 2 weeks due to a crisis at a school where a former student died by suicide. Suicide prevention is a cause close to my heart, so I decided to jump in. In crisis, my first task at a new school was to create awareness that somebody is here to help and that counseling services are available to both faculty and students. I worked hand in hand with the guidance counselor, who is my new best friend, to coordinate outreach through grade level emails, e-blasts to the parent community, and emails to staff. Next, I visited all periods of religion class to introduce the idea of counseling, how the process works, and how it can benefit anybody looking to grow and better understand who they are and who they wish to become. Then I began calling every student most impacted by the death to check in on how they were doing following the trauma. My goal eventually is to call every single student in the school so every kid knows somebody cares and help is only a text or a phone call away. The outreach is already working and we are making an immediate impact for students, in part due to the incredible partnership and warm welcome from the school community. I'm regularly hearing from faculty, parents, and most importantly, directly from the students. I'm also laying the groundwork for next year so students see counseling as a safe space that meets them where they are and lets them know that who they are right now is okay. I'd like to share one quick story of hope from the short time I've been with my school. I first reached out to this student after learning he was a close friend of the child who died by suicide. I called, emailed, and texted him in my first week, and he replied by text he was doing okay. I reached out to him again a week later over text to remind him I was here if he needed anything. Again, he said he was all right. I made a third attempt another week later, and this time he said he would like to do the wellness call with me. We connected by phone, and the student fell in the healthy range on the assessment scale, yet he seemed to hesitate getting off the phone. I told him counseling is not just for people with, quote, problems or mental illness, but a place where you can uncover mysteries within yourself, discover your strengths, and explore your own identity. He has been in counseling with me twice a week for a month now, and also participating in a new peer support group on campus. There's nothing wrong with him, just a child mourning the loss of another child, a friend. He is grieving in his own way in his own time. He has become the one who others in the community look toward for cues on how to behave, how to memorialize, how to mourn the loss of a boy who died too young, who didn't see another way forward. But in counseling, he's not in the school spotlight. He doesn't have to be strong or console those around him or worry that people are watching him. In fact, in sessions, we often make jokes and share lots of laughs together, talking about mundane things, and also quite often the friend he lost. Counseling is not always about what's wrong with somebody, but also what's right. It is a space of joy and triumph, not just pain and struggle. This student is a shining example of resilience and bravery and maturity and hope, but with me, he also just gets to be a kid. He can let go of what others need from him and just listen to what he needs for himself. He can just be. I'd like to just leave you with one more thought. I've heard some anger from students, from parents about why there was no counseling available sooner, why it took the death of a child to bring help onto campus. What I hear in that anger is fear. Fear of losing another child, fear of not knowing what to do or how to help. There's no blame here. It's nobody's fault, but we can make a difference now. In just one short month, several kids have already embraced individual and group counseling services. The students know there's help available, that they don't have to manage the challenges of this past year alone, that somebody is here to hold their hand in both light and darkness. Thank you for listening and supporting the mission of CPLA.
That was very touching. Thank you so much for opening your heart and sharing that with us as well too. It really brings home the connections you guys all make with your clients, your students, your families, and I love the breaking down of the stigma. You know, there's nothing wrong with help. We all need help to achieve the things we need to achieve and to move forward in life. So how wonderful. I'm so grateful to hear and to know that you're in the place that you're in. So thanks, Nicola.
Thank you, Johnny.
Yes. Therese, if you'd like to go on to the next.
Yeah. I'm very glad my portion's basically over and I can hand it off to the FSPs, because I kind of knew I know what everyone's going to say, but to hear it and to hear their hearts, I am the most blessed person on the planet that I get to do this with these people and help so many kids. So I'm going to sign off and start probably crying even more with gratitude. And I'm going to turn it over to my fabulous senior field support person, Jen, who's going to share another very important story of hope where if we weren't there, I don't know. But I'm going to let Jen first talk about her role, and then she'll share her story. On behalf of our counselor, who's dedicated and fantastic, but unfortunately is ill this morning. So.
Thank you, Therese. Hello, everyone. I love CPLA. I started as a counselor. I was a counselor for 3 years, and now this is my 3rd year as an FSP. And I love what we do, and I love my role as an FSP. As an FSP, we are here to support our counselors who support the students. And especially during this time, during COVID, it has been hard and has definitely impacted our work. I would say that one of the hardest things has been not having direct access to the students on campus. But there have been so many great things that we have been able to do in order to reach the students and families. As an FSP, I personally have made myself more available and extended my hours to support our counselors who have also extended their hours in order to support their students. When we first started telehealth this school year, we realized that it was a bit harder and a bit more challenging to reach out to the students. And so we explored the needs of our schools and students, and we quickly learned that we needed to be more flexible. So therefore, extending our hours to allow the students to attend their classes and still be available to support as many students and families as possible after school hours. And so we did what we needed to do. And I'm so grateful to all of our counselors who have been so flexible and willing and open to extend themselves as well. We have also had the ability to connect more with parents and families, and especially during this time when parents have also felt the impact of distance learning. Zoom has helped us reach out and stay connected to more parents, which has been so incredible. Parents have been able to really be a part of their child's counseling process by learning from the counselors what their child needs and how they can best help and support them at home. I will say that COVID has been especially hard for students who have been exposed to abuse or live in stressful home environments, because school really is their safe place. And during this time, they've only had home containment. Our counselors have now been their safe space. They have asked our counselors to see them more often during the week. Could I have a second session? They have really trusted our counselors and have really made them their safe place. So they're ready to help their students through a crisis situation. And as an FSP, it has been such an honor to help our counselors handle the crisis situations. We are there with them every step of the way. Some situations get really intense, and our team is always ready to just jump in and help. So they have our support while they are there to support their students directly. One of our incredible counselors, Hannah Sandler, who unfortunately was unable to be here this morning, she was a bit under the weather, worked with and continues to work with a student who was in crisis. And I'm going to share a little bit about her story of hope. Hannah has also been supporting the student's family. And this was also a time where coordination with the school was very vital. So to get into Hannah's story, Hannah had about 5 sessions via Zoom with a student. And on the 6th session, when we really start to explore these students' counseling goals, Hannah had checked in with her about her counseling goals, and one of them was to increase her communication with her family. And so Hannah started to ask more in-depth questions regarding this goal, and what ended up coming out was that this student was abused 2 years prior several times by an adult figure in her life. This is something that the student had never mentioned, never spoken about. The student had actually turned off her camera while she was telling Hannah the information. And Hannah, after giving her the space to feel her emotions and repeatedly letting her know how brave she was, Hannah did let her know that she would need to report this to Child Protective Services, as well as letting her mom know. So Hannah actually had reached out to her FSP, couple of us actually that day, and we worked together to come up with the best way to move forward. And Hannah gave her the option to be on the call with her to CPS, as this student needed as much control as she could in this horrible situation. So she chose to be on the call to CPS with Hannah, where she was asked to provide details again to the agent on the phone. And she was so brave. The agent on the phone actually continued to commend her the entire time for being so brave. And after the call, she turned her camera back on. And Hannah asked for, and she actually asked Hannah, her counselor, for support in telling her mom. So together they spent some time telling her mom, who had no idea that this had occurred. And of course, all of the normal feelings of guilt, blame on herself, shame came up for this mom. And it, as Hannah described it in tears, it was such a beautiful moment where the daughter had hugged her mom and they cried together and they just had a beautiful moment together. Hannah also let them know that she would need to tell the school principal, as whenever there is an abuse case, we do need to keep them in the loop even more so. The school principal was unbelievable. She was extremely grateful that this student had the level of comfort to get something so huge off of her chest. She called the student directly, as well as the student's mom, and offered her support. And in addition to this, Hannah let her student's mom know that we offer parent counseling, which the mom immediately took us up on. So it was truly a team effort in providing support to this extremely brave student and her mom. The principal continues to check in and offer her support today. Hannah continues having sessions with this student, and the mom has parent sessions. So coordination with the school during this was necessary, and had counseling not been an option, she may still have to be carrying this burden. So COVID did change a lot. It has been hard, but this student felt comfortable enough to share a sacred space on Zoom. And counseling has provided her with the space to feel comfort and strength to get this large weight off of her shoulders. So I just want to stress again, our counselors offer a safe space for their students to be themselves, and also teach them the skills that will allow them to deal with the challenges that they are facing. And it has been such a blessing as an FSP to be able to help the counselors support their students and families. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Jen. It's just incredible to hear, because I mean, no slight to any other organizations that are working with any other schools, but just to see that you all, CPLA, is reaching all of our Catholic schools in the way you are, it really brings home the fact that Catholic education and what it provides is more than just the academic excellence.
It's the whole child. Our schools fight for the funding to pay for our low fee, because they know that they believe they don't do it as a checklist for a charter license or to keep somebody off their back. They do it because if we weren't there, they bear the burden, they bear the worry, and then they can't be the teacher, they can't be the principal. And we really, we come in as true partners, and every school chooses and fights for that funding to have us, and they are a true partner. As you heard from Nicola, from new partner, and Jen from a long-term partner. And I think we may even hear from someone who was a partner with us from our very inception, But before we introduce him, I just want to say that Jen, as in the role that she has, she is the senior field support person. She is the supporter of the other field support people. So she is supporting above, equal, below, around, and she is a tremendous, tremendous support for me, as are all the FSPs. They really, they do an amazing job, sometimes a little thankless, but today I wanted to feature them so that what they do is recognized, and these counselors are who they are because they receive the support in front of, beside, and behind them.
Absolutely. And I'm going to jump in really quick as well, too, because I do want to make it very clear, just for context as well, too. Jen, if you can quickly, briefly kind of paint a picture for us, what is the difference between a field support person and a counselor, and how do you guys work in harmony together? Just so that way we can kind of unveil that for the rest of our speakers as well, too.
Yes, so our counselors are directly working with the students, the families, the school too, and as FSPs, we support our counselors. So whatever our counselors need throughout the day-to-day, throughout their work week, they reach out to us directly for support. We also have built our relationships with the schools. We stay connected. We learn about what each school needs, because every school is different. They all have different needs. Their students have different needs. So we stay connected to learn about that. But we directly support our counselors, and our counselors directly support our students. And sometimes we all come together and work together, especially during a crisis situation where we need to all come together and support a student or a family. So it really is a team effort, but I would say the FSP is there for the counselors whenever they need our support, because they do deal with very, very intense situations.
Absolutely. That makes a lot of sense. And so because Hannah is not here, and this may be helpful for the rest of you all when you share as well too, being sensitive to, privacy and whatnot. But if you could just let us know where Hannah is actually providing her services at, in those schools that she provides them.
Yes. Hannah is currently at St. Genevieve High School, and she's also at Cathedral High School, providing group support to students there. And more individual counseling at St. Genevieve. She's also done a couple groups there as well.
Oh, I'm going to bring that up a little bit later in the session too, as far as group support as well too, just to see what that looks like. But I've just been told as well that we do have a partner in attendance today, and he was offering to say a few words and to bring home some of that impact too at Cathedral. And so we have Terry on the call this morning. And so Terry, if you feel comfortable just sharing a little bit of that partnership that you have with CPLA and the impact that it has on your students.
Definitely, and that's why I'm here. We've had CPLA since their inception. Jen is my field supervisor, and I've worked a lot with Therese as well. I was just in an Archdiocesan meeting, and they were talking about Dee Dee Hirsch and all that, and Jen and Therese brought them to Cathedral. Our whole student body was able to have a presentation about suicide prevention. And as Jen mentioned, we do have groups. We have our incoming freshmen, they attend group sessions, kind of transitioning in, adjusting, their grades and all that. Although pandemic has been a little bit more difficult, but they're here 110%. You've been mentioning the messages of hope. CPLA counselors, we have had through the years, the abuse cases, suicidal thoughts in that. They're here, they meet with parents, they check up on them. It's just something that we wouldn't be able to do by ourselves, definitely. And we can always keep track of where the students are as far as their sessions. We've come up with some great plans for that. We have a Google form that I can see that, Hannah is one of my counselors, so I know who she's meeting with, not any of the confidential things, but I know, okay, Johnny has been seen this many times during the month, so I know that he's getting that support, so I can tell the parents, I can tell administration if I need to. So very thorough, you know. But again, you know, we've had our challenges through pandemic, but we're constantly trying to work through something. And Jen has the answers.
Wow, that's great. Thank you so much, Terry.
Well, Mr. Catlin is an example of the highest level of partner. He has been our partner from day one. And as a great partner, he pushes us sometimes. He makes sure that we're giving enough. And because he gives 210% every day to his students. And it is such an honor to have him. Even he asked if he could talk a little bit, because nobody works harder than Mr. Catlin for the kids. Nobody. And
thank you. Thank you.
It's really an honor to support you. And we can't wait till we're all back in person next year, because then we'll be back to seeing 13 students a day, Mr. Catlin.
Of course. We're pushed for 15.
And that's how he is. If we do 13, what about 15? But that's what we strive for. We strive to be what the school needs. And Mr. Catlin is an example of a wonderful partner, because he is a partner. He tells us what he needs. He isn't shy about it. He's available. He tells us, he knows the hearts of his kids. And if we weren't there, he couldn't be the academic counselor. He couldn't get them into college, because he has to worry about them getting through the day. But with us, he doesn't have to worry about that. And he can be the role that he needs to be to help them build the part of their future that is his responsibility.
And if any of you have, if any of you have questions at any time, they have my email, or if you know, anything, I'd be happy to answer any of your concerns about CPLA at any point.
Thank you, Terry. Absolutely.
You're welcome.
Very, very kind of you. And so that goes out to everyone else as well too. After this episode, if you feel you want to get any more information, as you see, everyone is welcome and just, you know, willing to help. So thank you, Terry. I appreciate that. And so we will, in best light of time as well too, we're going to continue with the program. We have Yoselin and Stephanie going to be sharing next. And so we're super excited for that. And Yoselin, as the field support person, will begin that conversation for those communities that they serve as well. I'm going to screen share and then you can begin. Thank you.
Thank you, Johnny. Good morning, everybody. So exciting to be here. My journey with CPLA began back in 2012. I was a counselor at two schools, at St. Thomas Elementary and at St. Matthias, which is now known as Pius Matthias, as I was part of the first class of counselors for our agency. I understand the huge impact our counselors provide to our school communities, and to this day, my work has been molded by the wonderful experiences that taught me valuable lessons at the beginning of my mental health career. My role this year as an FSP has been my opportunity to share all of the wisdom and support that was once bestowed upon me. My first year, Therese Funk was actually my FSP. She was an amazing advocate for myself, for all my students, and for their families. She provided the right dosage of self-confidence and knowledge that I needed in order to support the strong support system of my students, especially the ones living through the unimaginable at home. And I kid you not when I say unimaginable. I now carry with me those tools and techniques that she taught me, along with the wonderful collaboration and support of my fellow FSPs, Jen and Illusion. We have put our experiences, our heads together, and have provided the best support we can to our counselors and to our school communities. I can't tell you the numerous times we've been texting each other like, wait, what do we do here again? That's right. Oh, thank you for that law. So we love that collaboration within each other, amongst each other.
And all the changes with telehealth and the pandemic. Talk about reality.
Yes. I can't tell you how much our counselor stories have impacted our bond, and we are always so proud of them, regardless if they are not under our own FSP wing. Although we sometimes fight about how, you know, this is my counselor. That is why we're so happy to show them off and their wonderful work. And we wish we would be able to have all of them here to share their stories, but I know it would be, you know, too much crying and too much laughing at the same time.
Maybe next season, Johnny.
Maybe next season, yes.
You're always welcome to come back.
We are always growing through these challenging times, and as this pandemic year has taught us to pivot and become Generation Z experts. Well, I really think I like to think I'm an expert, but TikTok helped me a lot with that. We have been looking forward to this day as it is so important for us to have a platform to share our stories. The power of telehealth school counseling has been so diverse as it has manifested itself in so many different ways, and many times unexpectedly. The hybrid in-person school transition that has come in this spring has brought in even more challenges than we were expecting. Even when we thought we were almost at the end of the pandemic, then boom, this comes up. And so our students, we see them that they don't want to go back to school or even continue with school. Parents don't know what to do with this situation. Teachers are trying to find more ways to engage the students online, all the while trying to keep it together themselves. Principals are finding it difficult to find semi-private rooms for their students to have counseling sessions during school hours, and also trying to manage an entire school. So we totally get it. And we have noticed that students, families, and the faculty and staff themselves have created their own little world during the pandemic. But in reality, who hasn't? All of us have had our own little world that we've escaped into. And with our students, it has been online, social media, and gaming. So our role and our counselor's role has been to connect as much as we can, trying to find ways to be able to connect with them by using technology, all in the hopes of being invited to their own little world. And it is very critical how all of these means are online. Without further ado, I am happy to introduce my counselor who began with us barely in January at St. Columkill Elementary School. She has demonstrated such dedication to her students and their families. Stephanie Edquiline, who will provide a beautiful story on how the power of technology is able to help and change some families. We were able to help stabilize a student's world with this story. So Stephanie, go ahead.
Hello, everyone, and thank you, Jocelyn, for that really kind introduction. So I have another remarkable story of hope that is very compelling and demonstrates the need for school counseling as a lifeline of support. The student I will discuss is a young man that, because of his upbringing, was not comfortable expressing his emotions, stating that he did not want to look weak and girly in front of his family. He was also dealing with parents that did not have the best techniques of disciplining and often threatened to physically harm him. However, with time and support from counseling, he was able to overcome this and be more comfortable sharing his negative emotions and standing up for himself. This particular case is also significant because of telehealth and the accessibility of the Zoom chat box and email, which has really provided him the space to feel comfortable discussing these issues. So a little bit about sessions. For the first 2 sessions I had with the student, he was very closed off and reserved. It seemed as though he was very shy and was not sure what he was even allowed to tell me. However, in the 3rd session, I noticed through Zoom that he was in a very loud environment, and then gave him the option to use the Zoom chat box during our session. And in the beginning of every session, I like to check in on how he's feeling that day. And like Jocelyn mentioned, because I know he loves Minecraft and video games is his form of escape from the world, from whether it be like family pressures or school, I wanted to try to incorporate that a little bit in sessions. And then so I used a Minecraft 5-point emotion scale, ranging from 1 to 5, as 1 being very happy, he's having a really great day, to the opposite end as 5, he's really angry, furious. So he wrote to me in the Zoom chat box that he was actually at a 5. And this really surprised me, as he always looked, rather calm and relaxed in sessions. And then I proceeded to ask him why he was feeling this way. And he wrote that his father actually embarrassed him because he showed his report card to the entire family. And he did very poorly that semester. And he also wrote that he was very overwhelmed with homework and that his teachers are actually mean to him because they constantly call him out in class for not finishing his work. And he wrote that because he was doing badly in school, his parents were punishing him by taking away his PS4 and his phone for 4 months. So after that, I provided him the space to express these emotions without judgment and praised him for being so courageous. Though I noticed that there was something off because he was looking down a lot, which he typically doesn't do in sessions, and he was slouching a lot in his seat. And my intuition as a counselor told me that he may need an extra line of support until our next session. I then offered up my email to him in case of emergencies. So a couple days pass, and my student then proceeded to send me some concerning emails, such as, I am at a 5. My parents want to whoop me with a belt 3 times, but she only pinched me in front of Zoom class because I didn't show my body. And I, of course, feeling concerned, emailed him back first, thanking him for being so brave to share this, and then inquiring about whether he was currently feeling safe. He then sent an email back stating that he was, but after meeting with my FSP, we decided to consult with DCFS. And while the situation ended up not being reportable, I was able to gain some insight on how to further approach the case. Then the next day, I scheduled an emergency session with him and went over some self-affirming statements such as, I am enough and I'm an amazing person, just really building up his self-confidence. We also created a safety plan that I renamed his happiness plan of activities he could do to make himself feel better, such as hobbies like riding his dirt bike, which he's really passionate about, and drawing, and other resources he could use. I also went ahead and had a parent consultation with his mother and provided the space to listen to what she had to say, hearing her out and also recommending some things that can help her be an effective parent to her child. I also focused a consultation on advocating more effective ways of disciplining, such as focusing on the good things he does and recognizing that versus the bad, and modeling good behaviors. And then following these sessions and consultations, I can now report that my student has demonstrated more openness in sessions and more vulnerability. He is more assertive and confident at home and Zoom school. And through conversations, I've noted how he is much more talkative and in a happier mood. His mother also expressed gratitude for the services that CPLA has provided. So overall, telehealth counseling and its various ways of communicating through technology has allowed my student the space to comfortably share his emotions without judgment. It helped him to understand that although it may feel like the world is against him, his counselor will always be there as a beacon of support. He is an extremely strong and brave young man, and I continue to admire his vulnerability and honesty. And that's it.
Thank you so much, Stephanie. What a great story. These are revolutionary for some of the students, and it's so nice to hear these stories and these testimonies. It's really bringing a smile to my face, and it warms my heart for sure. Thank you so much. Therese, I believe I'm going to go into yet another success story and a feel-good good news on the way of Ilusion, Milan, and Ashley. So they're going to share right now, and I will share the screen so you can see their introduction slide, and I will let Ilusion take over now. Thank you.
Thank you, Johnny. Thank you for allowing me to speak about my role with supporting CPLA counselors as an FSP today. Give me 1 second here. Okay. As part of our proactive plan of support as this academic school year began, during distance learning, CPLA counselors reached out to students and families at their assigned schools with phone calls called wellness calls. Wellness calls have shown to be an important way of supporting students emotionally during COVID-19 and have helped to take some of the worry of teachers and administrators. So basically, like, it really took the worry off of teachers and administrators. We considered many factors about students within our school's dynamics to identify and prioritize the students and families that most needed outreach and support. For example, students and families our schools had some concerns about, like new students coming into the school year, parents of kindergartners, high school and middle schoolers who were and remain very isolated and who could benefit from a caring and compassionate call. Counselors would call parents and or the students themselves. If in 8th grades or older, counselors would introduce themselves, tell them that the school cares about their family, and would ask gentle questions like, how are you doing? How are things going for you? And then inform the students and the parents that the counselors are there for them if they need anything. A wellness call form was used and conducted with an evidence-based screening survey tool to help parents understand like how much stress their students and family was experiencing. These wellness calls were in addition to reaching out to families of students who were on the follow-up list and students who had already been referred. Counselors also did classroom presentations so that they could connect with students to help them feel comfortable and safe to talk about how things were going for them during the pandemic and social distance learning. We utilize these new ways of outreach to help take the burden off of our teachers and administrators of our school communities, and as an additional way of showing our students, families, and our school communities that they are part of a community of caring and support. Being an FSP to me has expanded my eyesight in that supporting someone who is caring for another has given me more hope and positive outlook for the future. I believe that field support people will always be honored with serving a role as a facilitator of encouragement and hope, a safe place and space for all invited, and a mentoring guide to the counselors in training they support. As an FSP, it has also been very important to be proactive with our counselors because of the new challenges and logistics that have come with telehealth, and also to provide a supportive space for them to talk, as it has been very challenging, a very challenging year for our counselors. They have really, really given it their all. Zoom is amazing in that it allows us just that, instant support to them. It is great to have us just be a Zoom call away for our counselors. I was like so thankful for that. I would like to now introduce my counselor, Ashley Wettlaufer, who has been proactive with the St. Eugene community, making countless wellness calls and providing amazing counseling support. She will talk specifically about the benefit and importance of conducting wellness calls for the parents and students at St. Eugene's. Take it away, Ashley.
Thank you.
Thank you, Illusion, and thank you everyone for having us. So I'm just going to share my experience with wellness calls. Illusion kind of introduced them, but I started working with Counseling Partners of Los Angeles and St. Eugene School in particular in August of 2020, so right in the middle of the pandemic. Telehealth was a somewhat newer concept and one I didn't expect to take part in at the beginning of my journey as a counselor. So ultimately, we had to take a new approach to connect with our school communities via the Zoom technology. As I started to join the Zoom classrooms and conduct the wellness call-ins one-on-one with students and parents, I was really able to join them in their virtual school experience. In addition to being able to connect with the students, the wellness calls provided me a way with being proactive in reaching students who are interested in receiving counseling or knowing more about it. Multiple students were able to express their struggles with distance education and the anxiety they were feeling about the pandemic. And many students also spoke that they didn't know that St. Eugene was offering counseling services during the social distance learning, let alone what counseling was. So the wellness calls really provided a platform for students to communicate their experiences as well as learn that there were services available to them. So we were allowed to meet with the students during their school day and check in on how they were feeling about the pandemic, the distance education, and all the social and academic changes that they were experiencing. In particular, I recognized one 8th grade student's name who was on one of my follow-up lists to reach out to, but I was unable to reach his parents due to the many challenges that all the parents were facing during this time. So I was able to meet with the student over Zoom and conduct a wellness call using the assessment questionnaire that Illusion mentioned. So the questions asked how students were getting along with their families at home, if they were feeling any sadness or nervousness, and how they were doing with school while online. During my initial call with him, he expressed he was feeling social isolation from his peers and family. In addition, he expressed challenges and struggles around enjoying daily activities and no longer finding interest in hobbies that were once engaging. When I asked if he'd be interested in counseling services after I conducted our wellness call, he said yes. So from our initial wellness call conversation, I gathered that he was feeling disconnected from his family. And after approximately 6 sessions or so, he was able to develop insight and awareness around feelings separated and alone. So a few months before the pandemic started, he'd gone to an amusement park with his family, And it was a place that my student expressed his feelings of guilt over a tragic event that had happened to his younger sibling there. And he had been feeling this guilt and shame for almost a year and was finally able to share the story out loud with me and process his feelings around that event. So while COVID created emotional turbulence and uncertainty within the student's environment, he knew he wanted help and took the initiative to ask for it through our wellness call. Even with all of the challenges he is facing, he felt comfortable enough in our Zoom meeting to share a story that had burned him for over a year. His resilience and strength really allowed him to utilize the counseling to get this large weight off his shoulders and find comfort and understanding within his own family dynamic. The wellness calls were also a way for parents to express their thoughts and feel supported during such an uncertain time. So many parents thanked me for reaching out to them and appreciated the services that we were offering their families. I got the sense that the wellness calls were creating a safe space for parents to share their concerns and worries about their kids and families living in a pandemic. As a counselor, the wellness calls helped me to see each point of view of the families and how each person was being impacted. So I met with one mother who felt so relieved to speak with me and refer her daughter for counseling. The mother was feeling overwhelmed because her ex-husband, the student's father, was severely ill and was withholding the information around his illness to the family out of her own concerns for her family's mental health. So she was aware of his situation, but their daughter was not. And she expressed feeling helplessness in preparing her daughter for the impact of learning about her dad's illness. So by being able to share her concerns with me, not only were we able to give her a sense of security, but also we were able to provide her daughter with support and resources to handle the challenges that she'd soon be facing. The wellness calls offered parents tangible opportunities to discuss and share their own struggles and refer their children and even themselves to receive counseling services when they may not have considered counseling support in the past. So even more, wellness calls offered students an opportunity to advocate for themselves during the time when it was so easy to get lost behind a computer screen. As a counselor, the wellness calls allowed me to connect with the St. Eugene school community. I felt confident that students were being heard and that they had someone they knew was there to support them if they decided to ask for services. The wellness calls created a path forward in our counseling services by creating a connection and a direct line of communication with not only our students, but also the family as a whole. It was a blessing that we were able to create this meaningful connection and safe environments to support our students, their families, and my own St. Eugene school community. And thank you.
Thank you, Ashley. Oh my goodness. This is, I would say, I mean, when people are in despair, I feel like the only thing that guides their way is hope and out of that situation. And so it seems like what you guys do are, you guys are truly the beacon of hope for your school communities, for the communities at large. And I mean, that's really what hits me. That's what resonates with me, is that when feeling just like there is no other way, these students and these families, they have the tools and the resources in your work and in your sessions, and so this really, it opens up the world for them to release whatever they have inside. And I'm just happy to know that our Catholic schools have you, and I cannot wait for the day that all of our Catholic schools have CPLA. And not to stretch you all thin, but that more of a call to action to everyone else who is willing to be a counselor, to go to school and to provide help. Do it, because our kids need it. Each and every student needs just a conversation at times, and if not, just the support of people who are talented and are passionate about getting them to where they need to be. Trace. Oh, I think you
said it all. It is our vision that every student has someone, a counselor to talk to for their emotional needs. It doesn't have to be us. We'll teach anybody how to do it. We actually have a former counselor from Saudi Arabia. She's going back in the summer, and her goal and her plan, and I think she'll make it happen, is to create one in Saudi Arabia. So replicating this, getting other people to know how to do it. I'm 63. I think I got maybe 10, 15 good years, but these kids will always need us. Our families will always need a place. It's, as Nicola said, it's not about what's broken. It's having someone and a safe space to talk to. And thank you, Johnny, for giving us a safe and supportive place today to share this news, to share the importance of our work, to share the hope that we're creating, and for me to give just a small example of the incredible work and hearts and smarts and intuition of our counselors, because that's what makes it special. Not everyone is going to make the impact. It takes special people, and our people are special, and we nurture and support them, and it's really an honor. Our Catholic schools, we believe every student needs counseling. So we are not only for Catholic schools. I happen to be Catholic. I believe in God. I believe God has taken me and us on this journey. But our Catholic school principals and administrators are incredible partners. And that's why it works, because they really partner with us. You heard it from Nicola, who's only been at that school for 8 weeks. So God bless everyone. And thank you for this forum. And if anybody has a question, or I know we've kind of pushed the time limit, but
it's okay. It's okay. I do want to jump in there as well too and say we do have a few affirmations, and Father Ang, who gave us the blessing at the beginning. So thank you, presenters, for great accounts of important work. And so that's well said. And thank you so much for that, Father Ang. And our mom of Coffee with CF, we have donned her, Jeannie Schwill. She's always here with us, and she's always into engaging and interacting with everyone. And so she is just happy to say that you all do incredible work, and it is obvious how much you care about your students and their families. And so those are wonderful words. Thank you, Jeannie. And Alex Chacon, president of one of our high schools as well too. He said, "This was great. Thanks everyone for sharing your stories of hope and healing with all of us." And so the work you guys all do, I said this in our call before, you all are the frontline workers for our schools. And so you guys showing up and creating almost like a brand new company of having to do your services through Zoom. And I'm sure you guys all hit the drawing board, and it was almost like starting from scratch. And to know that you all pressed in instead of shrink back, it tells a lot of your heart and your passion for what you do. So thank you, Yoselin, Stephanie, Lucian, Ashley, Jen. I don't want to miss anyone else here too, but Nicola and Erica and Hannah, of course, I couldn't be here with us. So thank you for everyone. And on behalf of all the rest of your counselors, I hope that this will reach them as well too. Thank you for all of that work that you are doing. I'm going to share one more screen because you guys have also allowed our attendees to learn a little bit more. And if they are in need of anything as well too, this is a call to action and just a resource page for all of you as well too. And so if Trace, if you want to briefly go over
encourage.
That'd be awesome.
Thanks. We're in good shape. We have incredible funders and supporters. So rather than putting a pitch for CPLA, I would like a pitch that you take a screenshot of this this screen and keep it with you and send it to loved ones. Maybe post it on Facebook, because it's not only for someone who's suicidal. People need someone to talk to, and we would appreciate you getting the word out about these amazing resources that, who knows, I might need it, you might need it, a family member, a loved one might need it. And so getting the access to help, we do it for the schools, but some people need an immediate hotline, and these are incredible resources. So it would really help us if you would take a screenshot and send it on so that people know more about these places and spaces to get help.
Thanks, Trace. And I had my colleague Sandra, she went ahead and took a screenshot and it's added it into the chat. So if you go into the chat, you have a little link to just download that. Hopefully that goes right onto your computer. I'm not sure if an iPad or iPhone, it will do the same, but do that as well. To take a screenshot, these are wonderful resources. And this will be another way that you can maybe help someone else in your inner circles as well too. So thank you everyone for staying. I know we're a couple minutes over what we usually have as an hour, but we have great content and great episodes. And I did not want to cut any of this short. So I will end with a few announcements for the rest of our season this year. But before I do any of that, I just really would like to say thank you to all of the FSPs and all the counselors on the call today, and also to Trace for your dedication and the passion that you put behind your work ethic. It's truly remarkable. Thank you so much, Trace. We really appreciate you sharing your stories and sharing the teamwork that you all do. And so we will probably have to have you on another episode in a future season as well too, because we want to know what group support looks like. We want to know how many students you're supporting. And so there'll
be more good news. I promise.
Absolutely. Wellness checks. And I mean, this is something that we really, really need in our lives, whether in Catholic school or not, but just having that help and support and to focus on what is good, not what is bad. So thank you so much for that. And so I'd like to also thank all of the Catholic schools across the Archdiocese of LA. You guys are all working tirelessly and working so hard to continue doing what you're doing, especially through this past year. And so thank you so much for all of that. And if this episode has touched your hearts and you feel compelled to continue supporting our students so they do receive these remarkable resources, please do so now. Please visit our website at cefdn.org. And remember, 100% of your donation supports the students directly. And so I'm going to go ahead and also share a screen here with you all so that way you guys can see as well, is that if you'd like to learn any more information about Counseling Partners of LA, please feel free to reach their website at counselingpartnersofla.org or send them an email. The emails that you find on that website, I'm sure each and every one of them will be willing and happy to help you along the way of answering your questions. And so we're getting tons of people saying thank you so much in the chat. And so I just want to thank everyone who showed up today too. And a few last parting words is just that next week we will have a wonderful episode. We'll be meeting with a fellow Archdiocesan department, Catholic Communication Collaboration, also known as C3. We have the honor of speaking with Paul Hernandez as he will be educating us of C3's inception story, the services they provide for our Catholic schools, and the tremendous emergency support they provided in the way of facilitating the distribution of thousands of iPads to students preparing for distance learning last March. And so this most certainly will be an episode you will not want to miss. And a huge, huge announcement for us at CEF. We are going to be having our season finale April 28th, and we will be having Alma Backyard Farms rejoin us again. And please remember, this is another big thing. Mark your calendars of the new time. We will be celebrating this outstanding Coffee with CF at 5 p.m. So 5 p.m. on
Good
April 20th.
idea.
Next week is 10 a.m. as usual, and that will be the last for the season. But April 28th with Alma Backyard Farms, we are going to come at you right before the dinner hour and bring a wonderful, wonderful episode. We have a CEF alum who is the co-founder of Alma Backyard Farms joining us and bringing a very special season finale to all of you. And so please mark that 5 p.m. April 28th. We've got 2 more episodes in this season. We're so happy it's flown by, but please remember to visit our website to RSVP for next week's episode with CE3 and also to RSVP for our finale, just as you did for this episode today at cefdn.org/coffee with CEF. And with that, we conclude our episode. I just want to say thank you so much again. God bless to everyone and happy Wednesday. Thank you.